This video is the ultimate side deck guide. What's up guys, hope you're doing well. I wanted to cover a video that explains all the potential side deck options in the Digimon TCG, all the way from set 1 to now, to set 7. And let me tell you, there are a lot of freaking cards. There's going to be a whole lot of tabs on this video, and we're going to talk about so many cards you might not even know exist anymore because they're so freaking old. But I want to just give some insight on the cards you could side deck. You know, the side deck is a really interesting place this format in this game because it's not so much about side deck staples, where some cards obviously qualify as that, but some cards, you know, you're going to side deck them based on the deck you're playing and based on the matchups you want to fight against, that you need help against. Like, it's definitely not black and white by any means. And, you know, if you're playing in Texas Fest or Miami Fest, by the way, go to Miami Fest, I'll be there. You know, you might actually find a very good value in this video. And you'll need to play test with side decks to know which cards will actually do the job for you. Because there's a lot of them, let me tell you. So yeah, don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, smash potatoes. That way you know when all these videos, blah 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 blah. You know the drill. Yeah, I'm actually uploading this on a Tuesday instead of a SPT7 deck profile because I just wanted to get this video out there. I think it's going to be super beneficial to everyone that watches this video, and it helped me as well. I already filmed this video, and let me tell you, this was an educational experience for me. So without further ado, let's get into the content. I told you guys this is going to be massive. Look at all these freaking tabs. There's so many cards that could qualify as side deck cards. And I even have more. Because there wasn't enough room to fit all of them. Goodness. Anyway, let's get the ball rolling here with Skull Greymon, an on-play delete a blocker. Nice old classic, a blockers become big, delete them, you know, really good card. War Greymon, the anti-security checking card. That's right, it doesn't check options and it gets security attack +1 when it evolves. Really good card to just run through security control and the like. Mistymon, on play, reduce 2 things 3000 DP. Could come in handy, could be good in security control, yellow decks, other things, right? For certain matchups. Seraphimon, when digivolving heal 1, gets security attack +1, but it helps you outgrind other grindy matchups, which could come in handy, right? Woodmon, this is the generic placeholder for generic blockers. If you don't want to get aggroed out, just play more blockers. There you go, blockers are good. Omnimon, original one, when digivolving, you delete everything with the same name. So if you're playing against a deck that likes to, you know, spam a bunch of cards with the same name, looking you Diboromon, this is really good. The extra attack is really cool too, but like the deleting effect is where it matters, right? Well, Canigdramon, I remember this card being the most talked about card when we were talking about, you know, if Digimon had a side deck back when the game first came out, because this card would definitely be a side deck card back then on play delete everything 4000 or less, and that's a little bit power crept, so you probably won't see it, but it is an option, I guess. Gallantmon, okay. When digivolving, you delete something with 6000 or less if you have Red Tamer in field, and then it trashes security when attacking for every 10 cards in opponent's trash. Really good again at running through cards like security control, purple, and other decks like the filter trash. Gallantmon could see play against those matchups. Metalseedramon, on play, you return up to 2 of your opponent's level 4 lower Digimon, then it can't be blocked by non-evolved, like cards with no sources. This card also was supposed to see a lot of play back in the day if a side deck existed. Now in set 1 it saw some play, but you know, as time went on, this card became non-existent. It probably will still remain non-existent, to be honest. Oh, this takes the breath out of you, eh? Magnadramon, on play, you heal 2 if you have 3 or less security cards. The other effect is kind of cool, but again, another card to help you outgrind certain matchups. Some people main deck in things like Agabond, even Gobabond, and other decks now. Magnadramon will still continue to see play, I'm sure. Especially with Tamer format, like, you can just do this, potentially put 2 Tamers in security for free. Really quite good stuff, eh? Then Puppetmon, on play, suspend when your opponent has nothing else on suspends. This card was kind of cracked back in the day, and it kind of fell off as soon as set 4 died. But, you know, it could see play, I guess. It's conceivable. It's a good card. Whatever. You know, Machinedramon, it's a blocker, but on play, de-digivolve 2 into your opponent's Digimon. So, again, that's a good blocker, and it can de-digivolve things, which could come in handy. Again, not likely to see play. It's a bit antiquated, but I guess if you wanted to side deck it, you could definitely side deck it. Wizardmon, it has retaliation if you have yellow in play. So you could bring this on the field with a yellow card, or something, and then you just make retaliation, and it's really good. Retaliation is effectively a removal spell. You will see Retaliation on this list a little bit, but then I'm going to stop talking about it for a bit. The reason is because Retaliation is just Retaliation. It's its own entity. Retaliation is just good. Devimon, Retaliation, the most generic Retaliation card you can think of. There you go. Chimeramon, unplayed, delete one of yours, delete when your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. Now this will be really good against matchups that like to spam level 5s or lower on the board that actually are scary and hold some strong presence. And also, if you put it in purple, you can delete things like Eismon and trigger things. Yeah, pretty good. Venom Myotismon. It's here for the opponent's turn when one of your opponent's Digimon becomes unsuspended and gain a memory. You know, that's pretty good. Sometimes you gain some memory. Think about it. Just think about it. Millenniumon. So when Digivolving, it bounces Digimon to the bottom of the deck, and then it also goes back to the field the first time it dies, assuming it has sources. This is really cool because it grinds out control-ish matchups, and it also gets rid of problematic cards like Craniumon. Millenniumon is a really good card. So keep that in mind. You could see that seeing play. Cantorusmon. So when Digivolving, you basically tell 5 of your opponent's guys, you have no security attacks, sorry. Have fun, and then when it dies, it actually deletes 11,000 or lower. That's actually pretty freaking strong. It can basically nullify a board for a turn, and then get removal out of it. Cantorusmon's not bad. Now we have Joe Kiddo. Real quick talk about tamers real quick. There are a lot of good tamers. I'm not covering things like memory tamers because people should just be playing those in this format, to be honest. But random tamers with niche abilities I will be covering in this video. Like Joe Kiddo here from set 1. When one of your opponent's Digivolution cards is trashed, suspend and get a memory. So if you're playing this and you were playing things like Tommy and you do Jones Sora things, you know, you could tech this into a blue hybrid deck. You could side deck this if you need help getting memory against a certain matchup and see a lot of success with it. You know, it's something that I've heard people talk about. Maybe you want to try it. I don't know. Oblivion Bird. Delete a blocker and security activates. I don't think Oblivion Bird has seen much play outside of set 1, to be honest. But again, it's there if you want it. Flower Cannon. The old good staple, eh? Suspend when your opponent's Digimon. And if you hit it in security, spend all your opponent's Digimon on that blocker. Flower Cannon's really good, guys. You slide these in if you're playing green or whatever against a more aggressive matchup and watch them get extremely punished by this card. Happened back in the day, it can still happen today, to be honest. Shield of the Just. Removal cards are good. I think this is the first hard removal option we've seen on this list. And it just deletes something 5,000 or less unless you have a Tamer in play, then deletes something 8,000 or less. My question is, why wouldn't you just play Tonic Blaster instead? Which, by the way, is on this video's list. You know, this is just to go to show you that removal is good. This one's a little bit power crept at this point, but it's okay. Terrace Cluster, 7-cost green option. Return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. Now, whatever. Maybe you want to side it. Heat Viper. Now, I actually revisited this card, Theocrafting with purple for the set, because you delete one of your Digimon to delete 2 of your opponent's level 4 lower Digimon. So they might build a small board, right? And if you have Eismon on the field, and you activate Heat Viper, you can do some nasty, inappropriate things to your opponent. That's kind of fucking crazy. So, Heat Viper, think about it. Trump Sword, delete unsuspended. Really good. Salamon, on deletion, you know, if you have 3 or fewer, recover 1. You might want to slide this in against decks that are a little more aggressive, decks that constantly, you know, attack you, keep you low. Salamon as a rookie spot can really help with that. Maybe you don't dedicate main deck slots to it anymore, because against some matchups this card is just ass. But against certain matchups it is really good. Food for thought there. Rise Greymon. When Digivolve and play a Yellow Tamer from your hand for free, doesn't activate it, and gets security +1 inheritable if you have 3 or more Yellow Tamers in play. The reason I put this in the side deck card is because not everyone is going to be playing 4 copies of this card. But against certain matchups, 4 copies of this card is really good. The reason for that is because we're entering a format of Tamer Wars, right? And if you're playing against a Tamer deck, you're going to want to outpace the opponent with your Tamers. And one great way Yellow has to do that is Rise Greymon. You can also do this with a dual color Rise Greymon in BT4, which I don't think I brought up, but I wanted to mention it with this one. So again, this card helps in the race, so to speak. Keep that in mind. Cards help in the race against mirror matches and other good Tamer decks. Those are cards we'll cover in this format, because these are cards some people will just play 4 automatically, but some people won't. So there you go. Black War Greymon, the one that just attacks if you attack your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP, unsuspend. if you can combo this thing with like a Sun Horizon and some other stuff, you know, Black War Greymon can wipe a board. And you might actually see this more in BT8, but for now it is a reasonable side deck card. Maybe keep your eyeball on it. The odd person might side it. Let's Greymon. Piercing and Wind Digivolving Digivolve too. Giving Red the ability to Digivolve could come in handy. You know, Greymon tribal decks, if you see any of those nowadays, might not main deck this card anymore, but they might promote to the side deck and have that Digivolve for when it really matters against things like Craniumon and other degenerate cards. Aerodramon. This is the generic card for Security Digimon. Security Digimon against more aggressive decks are really good. So yeah, Security Digimon. We'll cover the really notable ones when we get to them, but Security Digimon are good. Whew, I'm getting tired here. Anduomon. Again, a lot of decks main deck some copies of this card, but I think you could side some copies of it too. You know, the Wind Digivolving minus security check when your opponent's Digimon is really strong, and the when attacking ability is always good. One of the reasons why this card has been insane the duration that the card existed. So, you know, you might side some copies of this card against like a deck that would make a big tower of sorts. Anduomon would be good for that. It's just a good card. Shakumon. Also treated as blue, but all your opponents Digimon with no Digivolution cards gain security attack -1. The big FU, the Rookie Rush decks. You'll probably see this in sideboards, to be honest. It's a really good card. Terriermon. This is my generic spot for your opponent can't gain memories with Tamer effect cards. This, Chumon, Madoki, all of them. You know, they're good, and you'll see them in side decks, and some people will even bring multiples of multiple colors in just to help. It is what it is. Sarismon. You guys remember Sarismon? This is actually really funny. This was brought to my attention. So, Digisorption -3 to evolve it is fine. Once per turn, when suspending Digimon for Digisorption skill, suspend your opponent's Digimon instead. So, if you side into a Digisorption package in green, you could effectively control the entire board and kill their board. Now, this is a very, very niche strategy, but someone brought it to my attention, like, I want to try this. And I'm like, you know what? Go for it. If anyone else wants to try that, I don't know how good it is, but all power to you. Bancho Stingmon. You guys remember this card? When attacking your opponent's Digimon, if your opponent has a Digimon, if you tag him with Digimon with 12,000 or DP or more, it gets plus 7,000 and security +2 with piercing. Again, if they have a big tower in the field, this level 6 can punish your opponent and end the game. It has back in the day. I guess there's no reason why I can't now, right? Craniumon. You all knew this card was going to make the list, right? It's just a blocker that can't be killed by regular means and makes all your blockers the same way. Really good card. You know, you can just tech this in, to be honest. It's probably fine. Mastamon. Oh, yes. Nothing feels better than Mastamoning away an opponent's option or tamer in security than bringing back something to gain you value. Expect this card to see play. If not in some main decks, expect to see it in some side decks. Because this card is still good, guys. Trust me. Alteress. The better Volcanoctramon. This one might actually see some play because it's a higher end. You know, maybe you like have a Jesmon board and you can like swing. You can't clear the board, whatever. But then you can Alteress the board so they can't follow up. Or just any other red-black deck as well. This card is just Digivolve 1, delete everything, 5,000 less after that. And it's unblockable for 1 attack. You know, what's not to love? I think it's a good card. Joe Kiddo. Start a turn if your Digimon blocker in play, gain a memory. Again, you know, if you're playing Black Hybrid or something, you know, you might want to consider playing Joe Kiddo. Black has a lot of blockers. There you go. Mimi. This card is seeing play today. You know, all turns, when a player uses an option card, suspend the gain of memory. Your option cards or their option cards. This just helps you toggle with memory a little bit. It is a really good card. I gotta recommend it. Holy Wave. You know, recover +1. If you hit in security, it's +1. This card could be really obnoxious. You might see this in like the set control heavy hybrid variant of the format. Because again, you're just going to be putting tamers into the security, and it's going to be really freaking good. Holy Wave is that good, guys. Lightning Paw. 3 opponents level 3 Digimon get 3 opponents level 3 Digimon get 4,000 DP or less. So if you're being Rookie Rushed, if that becomes a popular thing, this is a good side deck option. If it's not, then it's not. Eden's Javelin. A draw 1, do -1,000 for each card in your hand to something. You know, there's a draw card that is removal. That's a little more specialized for sure, but it's still seeing play today. I see no reason why people might not include this in their sideboard, to be honest. A Delicate Plan. You guys also knew this card would probably hit the list. Just a one-option card that says F you to option security. It's an endgame button. Really good card. Plasma Stake. Played something 13,000 DP or more. Really, really niche, but kills Susanomon. Think about it. We have to stop fighting. You guys remember when this card was played in Rookie Rush back in set 1.5 format? Neither player's Digimon can be delayed in battle for the turn. You know, if you have a big board and you want them to survive for whatever reason, side this card. Maybe it helps. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Positron Laser. Another card. An oldie but goodie. Up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon can't attack or block, and then if you have blue Digimon in play, you bounce suspend a Digimon to the hand. Now, it costs 6 to do this. It does activate in security, which is really, really cool. You know, it might see play. This is really, really interesting, because this format, maybe not. But if you think about BT8 format when we're getting dual color Imperial Digimon, if side decks continue to be a thing, this card might pop off a little bit. Might think about it. Wrath of the Gods. I've never actually played this card in my life, but some people have sworn by this card. It's a main. One of your Digimon gains reboot, and it can't be deeply reduced or turn the owner's hand or deck until the end of the turn. Ideally, you stick this on Craniumon, right? That's kind of the theory about it. And then it has security effect where your opponent's Digimon can't attack players for the turn, which is really, really cool. So, like, stops a really aggressive turn. I don't know, guys. If you want to side this card, go for it. I probably won't, but people have been playing it all along. Sure, to see some side play. Xiaomon. This might be the only Digi-Egg to actually make this video, to be honest, because a lot of Digi-Eggs are kind of just niche in what they do. But this one actually gives you retaliation, which could help. It turns anything into a removal spell, as long as you have 10 or more cards in trash. It might see side deck playing purple. It might. Burning Greymon. Oh, Burning Greymon. Okay, so it's a hybrid, obviously, right? And not all red decks will play 4 copies of this particular Burning Greymon. However, it does let you attack over smaller, bigger things, because it does go up to 9,000 during your turn. And on that note, Aldemon is kind of similar. Yeah, this will have plus 4,000 DP as long as you evolve over Hybrid or Tamer. You know, 11,000 with Scary +1, pretty scary, does also attack over reasonable sized threats of the format. So again, they might see side deck play, maybe, or, you know, taking out bigger things, maybe. Rise Greymon, oh, I guess I did put it in here. Yeah, just play Tamers. Yeah, that's a good card. Helps you outgrind your opponent, helps put tempo in your favor. It does trigger the Tamer effects. So, like, if you play a TK with this, it does activate, which makes it a little better than Rise Greymon in that sense. And Digiburst isn't that big of a deal, because, like, you can take a Tamer, you can evolve a level 4 hybrid on it, and you can evolve Rise Greymon, and then still do it. So, like, that's pretty freaking cool. It's a good card. Endo Garurumon, you all know what this card does when attacking, mounts level 3. It's a hybrid. It's a good card, it'll probably see some play. Now that sideboard is a thing, though, it might be relegated to that for decks that like to spam out the level 3s. Beowulfmon, it has jamming, which is okay, but what really makes this card special to me is that it can't be attacked. And having just jamming dudes that can't be attacked mean they're just going to run through your opponent little by little, unless they have a removal spell or blockers to fend it off. So, you know, maybe they'll see some side play. I know that some people in Blue Hybrid do want to play this card already, but maybe, who knows? Who knows? Mirage Galgamon. Unblockable. Yep, that's all that's there for. War Greymon. I'm relegating this card to the sideboard position because this has been seeing main deck play all the way since BT4. And it is a very niche card where you can minus 6,000 something restand. And if you're entering Tamer format, right, odds are you'll hit a Tamer more likely, which means you have less risk of running into things that can kill War Greymon, technically speaking. So maybe this moves to the side deck where it needs to like destroy things 1,000 or less in the yellow matchup. I could definitely see that. Some people already want to main deck it, so I see no reason why this couldn't be in a sideboard as a couple copies. Lotusmon. Anyone remember this card from the BT4 Mega Zoo days? Old turns, when your opponent play level 4 lower Digimon, suspend it. In Tamer format, it might not come up so much, but if things turn into Rookie Rush and such, and they'll see play for sure. Nidhoggmon, you know, it's not the best against certain decks, because again, Tamer build-up, right? But against decks that like to commit their bodies, Nidhogg will be much more valuable against those matchups. So I could definitely see this card being pushed to the side deck in green. Only time will tell, right? Neo Devimon. A lot of people have their eyeballs on this card. Because opponent's turn, when an opponent plays a tamer, gain 3 memory. And then unheritable, and if opponent's tamer comes to spend a gain of memory. This card punishes your opponent for playing tamers. This will see play this format, I guarantee it. You should expect to see this card. Maybe not all over the place, but expect to see this card. Because that extra 3 memory could make a difference in the early game. Anubismon. I threw this card into the side deck because it will allow a purple player to kind of outgrind other purple decks. You know, if purple is just doing their thing, and all of a sudden you can like kill them with an Anubismon turn. And that's great. That's how I really like to play Lilith Loop back when the deck first came out. You know, you do your thing, but all of a sudden, oh my god, Anubismon, I win, I lose. That's it. So Anubismon could be in the side deck. That's a bit of a niche pick, maybe, but you never know. And if Anubismon ever gets more support, who the fuck knows what's going to happen? But, you know, it might see playing your side deck. It might. It might. Dandevimon. This card is just one of those big FU cards. During the opponent's turn, if a card is removed from your security stack, trash top card of their stack, and then when it's deleted, they trash 2 cards in their hand. You know, having an ignorant card like this against decks that want their tamer, like decks that want their security to be hit because they have tamers and options in there. Dandevi just kind of dumps all over that a little bit. So maybe people side in a Dandevi package if they're like if they have enough Devimon cards in their deck. That could be a really cool transformation side technique. Just a thought. Chaosmon. You know, if you can turn your top end into a Chaosmon and attack something, that's really cool. You're probably not going to play this over Susanomon, to be honest, but it does have piercing. It is reminiscent of the Green OTK days. It is kind of just there. I don't know. It's okay. Balderarm maybe sees a little more play. You know, down deletion gain 3 memory, and on the Digivolve 7,000 twice. Maybe it sees play. Who knows? Maybe it's more of a side deck card against certain matchups to clear board. Whatever. Atomic Inferno. Now, people have their eyeballs on this card in the main deck. But there's no reason why people might not side deck a few more copies of this card. What it does is one of your Digimon with Hybrid in its form gets 3,000 DP, security +1, and if it's blocked, you gain 3 memory for the turn. So people are slapping this on an Ancient Greymon and fucking going to town, which is really, really interesting and aggressive. That's where some of the hype is coming from. But if you hit in security, all your Digimon gets security +1 until the end of your next turn. Maxing out on this card against certain decks will be auto win if they hit it in security. And even drawing it, it's technically a better Lightning Joust if we're being real here. Now that we're heading into the hybrid format. So yeah, Atomic Inferno. Keep your eyeballs on it, because this will see main deck play and probably some side deck play too. Oh my gosh. Oh, my voice. Trident Revolver. Deletion 6,000 DP or less and play a tamer for 4 or less, cost 4 or less from your hand. It's a deletion card that plays tamers. It will see some side deck play this format, most likely. Blinding Ray. Now, I'm putting this card as a side deck card because if you're playing the mirror match, Blinding Ray will be better in the mirror match to auto win you the game. Otherwise, you know, against certain matchups it'll help. Against certain matchups it's just kind of those power plays. You don't want to lose too much security against certain decks in BT7, which is why I relegated to the side deck. But to be fair, you know, I might just see my deck play anyway. Blinding Ray, it's a fucking good card. Tactical Retreat. Place 1 Digimon top of your security stack face down. All those really good security Digimon, just put them back in security. Really good value, and if you hit in security, it's just Holy Wave. This card will see play this format, for sure. Purge Shine. Oh god, I can't believe I'm talking about Purge Shine. I never thought of talking about this card in my life. But, all opponents Digimon get minus 3,000 DP for the turn. And then, yeah. Maybe it comes up. Maybe people side deck this card. I don't know. I wouldn't. But I made a post on Facebook saying, what do you guys think about side deck cards? And someone said that. I'm like, sure. Why not? Dark Roar. If you're playing D Brigade, you can put this card to the side deck for annoying cards, like Mechanorimon. Just saying. That's what it's there for. Hell's Gate. Delete one of your opponent's level 6 or higher Digimon. In a format where you could have Ancient Greymons and Susanomons and Ancient Garurumons and Shine Greymons and whatever the fuck else flying around, you know, Hell's Gate could see some side deck play for sure. Gaussmon. This is your generic card for your opponent can't reduce Digivolution costs. That, Cutemon, and any cards like that. Tamer, the hybrid cards like to reduce their costs to Digivolve, and the cards like this shit all over that strategy. You will see these cards in side decks. Mark my words. War Greymon. The 1PT5 that when you Digivolve it, delete a blocker. Again, it's blocker hate. There's one in EX01 that's kind of, or there's one. Is it EX01 or is it freaking the BT7? There's another one that does basically that, but I'm not including in this one. I'm including this one because of the inheritable. Delete when your opponent's delete when your opponent's Digimon 1000 DP or less. It has an additional benefit if you ask my opinion. So it's a little bit of extra move on a War Greymon. Maybe you'd see some side deck play. Maybe it's his main deck play if you're playing Greymon Tribal. Who knows, right? Who knows? Syakomon, another reduced evolution costs. There you go. Hexablow. You know, if you have an opponent that's just dropping their shit on the board, just play Hexablowmon and you're covered, right? That's the theory there anyway. Blue decks probably side deck this card. Starmons. You know, not a lot of decks will play 4 copies of this card in yellow anymore because it's a different strategy. But like against decks where you need to either hit bigger numbers or hit magic numbers, they might side in copies of Starmons. Like you'll have a lot of memory at the start of your turn if you're playing yellow hybrid. If you have things like TK and Kari and Karis and stuff like that, to the point where you can do a Shine Greymon and a Starmons in the same turn, and maybe that's what you need to do. So I think Starmons will see some play like that, some side deck play. Sakuyamon. We see this card played today because it's really good against Bond decks and Jesmon, anything that likes to just come on up. Sakuyamon is just that good because it gets anything promoted from security -3 security attack, and all your security Digimon get -3000. All your opponent's Digimon, security Digimon get -3000 DP. I'm stumbling all over myself today. Holy moly. But anyway, yeah, you'll see that deck play for sure. I have no doubts. Raffles Simon. Digiburst 2, everything gets plus 1000 DP on your side of the field, but then when something Digibursts, when your opponent's Digimon is stunned for a turn. Good to see some play in green. It is 1 cost to evolve, so like theoretically, you know, you can evolve it for cheap if you want to and stun the opponent's board. That's a thing. Argomon. This card is stupid. When you Digivolve it, it suspends all your opponent's Tamers, and then once it's on the board, all your opponent's Tamers don't unsuspend. This card will see some side deck play. Absolutely. Mechanorimon. We all know this card's going to see side deck play. Just a blocker that, if you block something smaller than it, unsuspend. Like, it's crazy. Metalgarurumon. I'm having this card here. Because of the Digiburst 2 when Digivolving, you can either delete something on play cost 6 cost or less, and if you don't, trash a security. Trash security effects will be really good in this format, so Metalgarurumon might see some side deck play in black. Maybe. Chaos Gallantmon. I despise this card with passion. I think it sucks. However, someone might side deck it because it does a Chimeramon when it evolves, and then it brings something back once per turn when something inside the field is deleted. So it helps you get value out of your level 3s with, you know, abilities. So maybe. Tactimon, in my opinion, is a better take because it can just kill Rookie Rush. It can also just be bigger than anything else. Something to keep in mind for your purple side decks. Armageddonmon. I made a trolly comment about this on Market Watch yesterday, but it has Rush. Cool, I guess. But it turns off the one Digivolving on a level 7 Digimon. So if level 7 Digimon dominate the format, or any format where side decks are applicable, Armageddonmon, sure, whatever. Omnimon with Blitz. The reason why it's here is because of the all turns. If an opponent's effect would delete this Digimon or return it to its own retainer deck, prevent it by trashing a 6. It's just there for its resiliency, really. It'll be really annoying for certain decks to handle. Zwart, this probably will just see main deck play, not side deck play, but people might like toggle this in instead of like Zwart defeat or vice versa, whatever. And like, Zwart does nutty things. Like, the cards you bring back get their abilities. So if you bring like multiple, if you evolve in this, and bring back 2 Lucemon Chaos Mode, that's just a lot of free fucking value, as well as everything else you bring back with Sword. So, we'll see main deck play this format. They might also see side deck play. Maybe people might slide it in to be a little more aggressive against certain decks. Antibody is like one of the ultimate just stall cards slash removal in one body. It's just really good. It could see play in the side deck. It really could. Zwart Defeat. I've been talking about this card a lot in BT7 format. I think this card is super underrated. I think that this card will see a lot of play. And now that side decks are an option for Fest, it might just see side deck play. Maybe it doesn't cut it to the main deck per se, but if you're playing against an aggressive deck that just likes to hate your security, or if you're playing against freaking Tamer dot deck, having Zwart Defeats might not be a bad idea. 4 of them. So there you go. Sora and Joe, some blue decks might max out of this in the main deck, but if they don't, they might side their remaining copies against decks where this could really punish and gain memory from it. Easy and Mimi, certain other application, not as great, I would say, as Sora and Joe. I think that was the name's card. I don't know. But, like, you gain 2 memory if your opponent has a suspended Digimon, which is a great start, and Green Hybrid could slide this card in. And then it does the whole, when you're attacking level 5, you reveal top 3 and evolve. If you could get that stupid new Kabuterimon card from that, like, as a surprise attack, that could be dumb. That's all. I don't know. Seems pretty good. Takumi Aiba. This is there because, well, it draws you cards when you evolve, sure, that's fine. But all level 3 Digimon gain 1 attack and lose 1 memory. If Rookie Rush is a big problem for you, side this card. That's all. Tai and Matt. If your opponents are playing cards like Digimon with level 6 or higher, you're getting 2 memory. And then your freaking Omnimons against security attack +1. So again, you could slide this card if your matchups, if you have hard matchups against, you know, decks at level 6 or higher Digimon that randomly push them out. Absolute Blast. This card is kinda, I don't know how I feel about this card going to BT7, but BT6 it was pretty good. You trash the bottom Digivolution card on one of your opponent's Digimon, then you return opponent's Digimon with no sources to the bottom of the deck. It might happen. It could come up. You could see it inside deck play in certain decks where this could punish big threats. You could. Spiral Masquerade, really good side deck card if you're going wide. Some people might main deck this already, but like you never know. You could be like playing D Brigade, right? And you're just doing the regular shenanigans of like D Brigade, but some D Brigade decks splash in the yellow, right? So maybe you transform side, like some Starmons and Spirals. It's possible. Transformation sides, expect to see them, guys. It's like, this is no joke. Ultimate Flare. You side deck some copies for the matchups. This is really good against. We all know what Ultimate Flare does. I don't need to go over that. Earthshaker. Delete when your opponent's unsuspended level 4 and when your opponent's unsuspended level 5 Digimon. You know, if people are just building like hybrid stacks, Earthshaker becomes a little bit better because they only start at level 4 and then they like their level 5s are really good and they might hang around for a turn. Who knows? Earthshaker could be really good. You know, I'm showing this card off in like Hell's Gate. It makes me think like Plutomon might be a viable strategy in BT7 or something. Kind of crazy. All Delete. I couldn't not include this card for all the memes, but like, return Unknown into your hand, delete everything. Okay, sure. Megadramon. Now, this card and the Gigadramon, that's the opposite, the black. I'm including these in the side deck because this will allow like a red deck to side into a black top end or vice versa, and that might be really cool for a transformation side, a little surprise attack technique. Maybe it sees a little bit of play, I have no idea, but it is kind of cool. Dynasmon. Against certain decks, Dynasmon is like an MVP. Against Gomobond, this card is cracked. And I'm sure it'll have the same effect against similar decks as well. Now, if you're playing Yellow Hybrid, you don't necessarily want to like mill your Tamers. That seems kind of bad. But it's also not the end of the world because Susanomon, or whatever you say that card's name, can bring it back to the deck. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, probably a seaside deck play for sure. Ancient Shroymon. Not all Green Hybrid, surprisingly, will main deck 4 of this card. But they might side the rest for those really aggressive decks. So yeah. Sakurimon. Sakuri Digimon. It doesn't summon itself from Sakuri, but it does de-Dojo off 1. Which could be happy. Which could be good. Dungermon. This is a blocker that basically mills 5 cards. So if you're not playing the 3 muskets, maybe it's a blocker that you mill cards with. Maybe. I don't know. There you go. It's a card. Yep. Elecmon. Delete when your opponent's Level 3 Digimon. That's right. It just does that. So you suicide elite rookies. It could see play. Rebellion. I think this card is on people's radars as a side deck card for sure. Like when Digivolving become a blocker basically with retaliation. Like, here's my beef with this card, right? People are talking about how like Jessamon gets anal raped by this card. Straight up. And, you know, if you're playing a Jessamon, you just slide these in. Now, on the opposite end, if you're a Jessamon player and you expect that, you could just sign an Atomic Blaster, which gets you more value because they have if they see a Jessamon in the back, they have to promote their level 4 and evolve at that turn. But then if you kill it with a Atomic Blaster or something, well, there goes their whole stack they built, right? And then they basically lose everything and have to start from scratch, and you can just bring up a Jessamon next turn and go to town. You see what I'm talking about here? Let's get into the whole debate that happened back in Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day. Like, you could side in Floodgates, but do you really side in MSTs to out those generic cards? Like, do you side an out to an out, where your opponent might not even draw the out? It's a little bit different in Digimon, I think, because you're just constantly drawing cards, and then you're going to see cards. But that really makes an interesting topic for a different video. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. But yeah, regardless of that, Rebellion is a good card. It'll see side deck play, I'm pretty certain of that. Skull Greymon, it's retaliation when you discard it. That's it. Ornusmon, on play, delete level 5 or lower. You know, people are playing it now in security control, and it might continue to see play as such because it is a good card. And they might even play the other card that even brings us back for free, technically. So, who knows? Alphamon. If you are playing a Royal Knight or X-Antibody the deck in ET7 format, you know, stunning the opponent's board? That's pretty good. And then this card just gets you memory, right? And memory in black is a very valuable resource. So you definitely could see this card in people's side decks or even main decks in ET7. Again, black is not the biggest color in people's minds, because everyone's thinking about blue hybrid, red hybrid, yellow hybrid, green. I use them on the deck. Black, it's not running people's minds. That's all I gotta say on that. TK and Kari. A lot of decks will just main 4 of this, but if they don't main 4 of it, they might side the rest of the copies. Because if they're behind, you know, it's really good memory. And like, if you're playing against a yellow player that isn't cognizant of what they're doing, if they like heal one too many times, they could be behind in memory for the rest of the game. And that's just really strong. So, TK Kari, good card. Izzy Joe, again, if your opponent has 2 more Digimon play, gain 2 memory, and then the draw power is really cool. A card that could see side deck play, if not, people are main decking 4 copies of it. You will see this tamer a lot. You do this format, and you will next format. Sora and Mimi. If your opponent doesn't have a level 4 lower Digimon in play, gain 2 memory. That's a good start of turn ability for sure in hybrid format, extra 2 memory. And then when one of your purple Digimon attacks, draw 1, trash 1. It's looting for free. Really good. Red Reamer. It can high roll into deleting something 13,000 DP or less for 4 memory. I hate Red Reamer with passion. And like an absolute fiery passion, I hate this card. But people will side deck it. So, there you go. Forbidden Trident. A card I'm also not a big fan of. But that being said, you know, 2000 DP and bouncing level 3 to the opponent's hand when you're attacking is really good. I've seen people do it with Kendo Guruma on this format, and it's like hilarious to watch 2 rookies go back to hand. But this might see side deck play, who knows. Halley Memory Boost. If you're not main decking 4 of this in blue, you're probably siding the rest, because it's just stuns an opponent's Digimon for a turn, and then gets you memory later. It's a really good card, guys. It's better than Blue Memory Boost. Rattlestar. This card could bounce an opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. It could. That's why it's here. Because if they go wide enough and play into Rattlestar, you know, that's really good. Wyvern's Breath. Again, if you're playing yellow, you might not main deck 4 copies of this card right away, but you can definitely slide up to 4 copies of the card if you need it. It's one of the only cards that outs Craniumon, and you know, it's pretty good. Gawalt Schwarmer, one of the best cards in set 6, if you ask my opinion, and it will see side deck play because it can just a 7-cost black option that can just kill a board. That's good. Iron Fisted Onslaught, again, you might not main 4 of it, you might side the rest, because it is good at leading high things. Zudomon from EX01. There's not many cards from EX01 on the list, because it is a smaller set, but I did bring out cards that really stood my attention. Like, I saw the cards, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's throw them in here. Some better than others. Zudomon can attack unsuspended Digimon with no Digivolution cards, and when Digivolving, you trash Digivolution card. So, not bad. Okay. Infamon. Now, this card is good. When its opponent's level Digimon digivolves into a level 5 or higher Digimon, gain a memory. Having this on the board could end a turn. So, there you go. I might see side deck play. This one's a bit of a loose cannon, but I wanted to include something from EX01. Infamon seems okay. Ogremon. Trash a card in your hand to have this Digimon gain security +1. It does let you get aggressive against certain decks that like to aggro you back, and then its inheritable isn't bad either. Trash +2000 DP, pretty good. Piedmon. On play, delete an opponent's unsuspended level 4 lower Digimon. Or sorry, delete 4 of them. 4 of them. Yeah, that's why this card's on that list. And then once per turn, if an opponent's Digimon is deleted, draw a card. So like, that's really cool, but this card kind of is just like the new iteration of Volcanoctramon, if you ask me. And it's good. It's fine. It's a good card. Yep. A card that a lot of people would really think about when it comes to side decks. Emergency Program Shutdown. Your opponent can't use options to the end of the next turn. Buy security control. You know what I mean? And I guess other random applications too as well. Is a good card. Is a good card. You will see it in side decks. Absolutely guaranteed 100%. Ogremon. I guess I forgot to cover this in BT6. But like the on-play trash card to delete a level 4 lower Digimon, spot removal is good. Some decks play really powerful level 4s. Ogremon just says, nope. Avenge Kidmon. Now we're on to the BT7 cards. Again, this set's new. I don't want to talk about it too much. But there are a few cards that really stood out to me as side deck worthy. And this card is one of them. So when you play this card from your hand, you reduce its memory cost by 1 for each option card in you and your opponent's trashes. Not cheap sometimes, but it gets better. On play, you return all cards with 3 Musketeers in their traits and all option cards from both players' trashes to the bottom of their owner's decks. If 7 more cards are returned using this effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3 Musketeers in its traits or 8,000 DP or less. As long as side decks are a thing, you side this card against muskets, you win if you draw this card against muskets. Enough said. That card's crazy. That's a very good card. This card has side deck written all over it. Specialized side deck. Or musket decks. Jesus. Ebonwumon. The turtle. Now, while people might not want to main deck this card, or otherwise people will main deck 4 copies of this card for the memes, Turtle Turbo as you will, you know, when you Digivolve, you suspend opponent's Digimon, you gain memory for each opponent's suspended Digimon, so like it could be relatively free or whatever. But its real effect is during the opponent's turn, or opponent's Digimon gain your turn, you must trash 1 card in your hand to unsuspend this Digimon. That's crazy. His hand resources are incredibly valuable, and until they get rid of this turtle, they have to do that over and over again. So Ebonwumon against the right decks is a menace. This card will see side deck play for sure. Cherubimon. Now, some people want to just main deck this card and be the Cherubimon deck, and that's cool. But I do think it's more of a side deck card. Its win Digivolving ability is you play a purple tamer from your trash, then for each tamer you have in play, you delete an opponent's Digimon level 4 or lower. It acts as a pseudo board wipe for smaller things, and then on deletion, for each tamer you have in play, you play 1 level 3 Digimon from your trash for free. Like, you can understand why it's a deck, but you can also understand why I wouldn't want to play this card as a deck, because it's very specialized in what it does. It really is a side deck card. But hey, if you're going to be the guy that main decks 4 Cherubimon and calls it a day, I hope you see success. I hope you're right. I don't see it. Neemon. This card I promote to the side deck for the all turns with return ability. When one of your Digimon with a Tamer card and its Digivolution cards is deleted, you may play 1 Tamer card from your trash without paying its memory cost. So, for example, you have this card in the field, You evolve something into a hybrid, you swing, it dies, all of a sudden you get a tamer back. And if they do it again on their turn, you get another tamer back. You know what I mean? The card is very good at grinding the matchups, the tamer decks, and does give you additional advantage. It also doesn't turn off the on-play abilities, so like, you could play a TK or the other yellow one that this set's getting, the one that searches for hybrids in the security, and like re-trigger all those abilities. Namon is a really niche card, and I think you need to keep your eyeballs on it, is my opinion for that card. Lucemon Chaos Mode. Until BT8, where we get the Mastodon starter decks, this card does have side deck written all over it because of deleting your opponent's Tamers or level 6 lower Digimon when on play or Digivolving. You basically Digivolve this card on top of a Lucemon and you reduce the cost based on every card in your trash. That's what the card does in a nutshell. Like, Zwart can play for free, which is why I might see side deck play. And it is really good against, you know, decks that just play Tamers or level 6 lower Digimon. Like, it's effective removal for sure. So it is what it is. People might side deck this card more at the fests, but this card will be main decked in Mastermon and BT8 going forward. Just letting you know. And now the rest of the cards that I couldn't fit in my one window. It's been a long one. We're going for a while. Holy moly. Seraphimon. When Digivolving, recover. On deletion, recover. It's a grindy card. That's why it's there. It just helps you grind against certain matchups. It's there. Gigastorm. For 7, you delete 2 of your opponent's Digimon 8000 DP or less. It's like a Batter or Atomic Blaster. I don't want to use those words because Atomic Blaster is really good. It is more expensive. So keep that in mind. It is what it is though. Starlight Velocity. Alright, so its main effect is you play a Tamer card or Digimon with hybrid in its traits from one of your Digimon's Digivolution cards for 3 memory. On security effect, you can play a Koji from your hand or trash for free. Now, this card seems very stupid to me because you can reuse things like Tommy and you can do some really ignorant stuff with Starlight Velocity. I think this card might see main deck play, but you definitely will see side deck play against, again, other Tamer decks or cards where Tamers are super valuable against your opponent's matchup. Starlight Velocity is a good card, guys. I want your eyeballs to be on that card, all format. Thunder Laser. It's a flower cannon for 1 if you have a hybrid or 10 warriors on the field. A security goes to hand. For 1. That's stupid. You might not make deck 4 copies of it. You're sure as hell gonna side 4 copies of it against the right decks, more aggressive decks. Brave Metal. Again, this is more niche, more for the X antibody deck. If you don't have an antibody on the field, it deletes something 6 or less, costs 6 or less, but it deletes anything else without X antibody in its traits. The card's really good, guys. It's a really cheap Gaia Force potentially in the antibody deck, and that could be really valuable against certain matchups. If you're playing against X antibody this format, watch out, because you will see this card, and it will ruin your day. Calling from the Darkness. This card will see main deck play, absolutely, like, no shot, like, for sure. Delete a Digimon, return 2 purple Digimon cards from trash to hand. It lets you just redo Icemon's things, which is dumb. It's crazy stupid. You might not main deck 4 of it again. You might side in the rest of the copies against the deck where you want to see this card, like the Purple Mirror match. The more times that you can resolve Calling from the Darkness, the more chance you have of winning the game. Good card. Schwarz Lersch. Yep, that card. Deletes level 5 or lower for each of your hybrids or tamers in play. The card's pretty freaking good, and we'll see side deck play or main deck play against the right decks. You've been warned. Alright, now we're on to just starter deck cards. Gaia Force, staple. Yep. Kaiser's Breath, again, staple. Side deck card, removal. Yep. Patamon. You might side deck this card in yellow, because the memory advantage, you can do a lot of things if you have a lot of memory in yellow. And having Patamon might help you with that, especially in the mirror match. So keep your eyeballs on that. Also, I needed a reason to include Patamon in the video for obvious reasons. We Patamon stands over here. Angel Woman. That's right. You might see side deck play against more aggressive decks because you just heal when you evolve through your last security. It's fine. Seven Heavens. It's a removal card. This card's a bit of a stretch to be honest, but you never know. Mega Obiteramon. This is a lot of like BC7 cards combined with this card is very scary. Once per turn, if it deletes opponent's Digimon battle and survives, you trash top cards in security stack. With the new top end card, you can trash 2 cards from the security stack for free. And I think that against decks with a lot more option bombs or tamer bombs security, this card will be a lot more valuable in the green matchup. So I think people side in this copy for those cards and see what happens with it. Izzy Azumi from the green starter deck. When one of your opponent's Digimon becomes unsuspended, you suspend this gain memory. Again, it's just more memory gaining stuff. This is one of the green tamers you'll see in green hybrid, and you might main deck some, but you also might side deck some against the decks where you really need memory. It's possible. Needle Spray, just a weirder flower cannon. It'll see play. Toyagumon. At the end of the opponent's turn, if your opponent didn't attack with a Digimon, draw 1. Sign this in against decks that can't get aggressive on you will be really big punishes because you'll just draw cards for no reason. That is pretty good. Megadramon, Inheritable Blocker. Need I say more? That's pretty good. Dark Side Attack. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 7 or less. Technically, the Brave Metal Storm, or whatever the card's called, the one that's a Gaia Force Rex antibody, technically it's better if you're playing antibody, but if you're not, if you're playing D-Brigade or something, maybe you slide this card. I don't know. It's black removal options. I guess it's possible, eh? Deathclaw. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon. Delete one of your opponent's level 4 lower Digimon. The 1 cost option, that spot removal that triggers your Eismons. I'm certain it'll see play in the side decks. Geogreymon. This security Digimon is really good. On play, delete the 4,000 or less. You already know it. Sees play now, does he play? Still. Lightning Joust. Again, there's no reason to really play this card if you're playing the hybrid deck, but if you're not, signs of copies. Whatever. Atomic Blaster. This card's just really good. If I'm a Just One player, I'm probably siding copies of this card, to be honest. Like, deleting opposing Rebellions or just wider boards is really good. It's a really good card, guys. Gordramon, Pot of Greed on Leg, security effect. Yep. The Wingblade. Worst Kaitis Breath, but maybe that's all we need. Who knows? Maybe someone else had this card. And Godamon. He's the last card on this list, actually. Only one promo card on this list. And I picked Godamon